we're going to start somewhere kind of dark and kind of sad. In 2012, we all know the conflict in Syria started. And so an old man in his 60s with his family was trying to figure out how to get out of the country. Like thousands, like millions actually now that we know. It's 2020 now, and we know the full extent of what that conflict resulted in. Back in 2012, an old man was trying to figure out, how am I going to get out of Syria with my family safely? So he made a few attempts and decided that those attempts were going to be too risky, and he waited and tried again. It's too risky, waited, and then he tried again, too risky. Now imagine this person is someone who has a decent rank in the Syrian government, and so for him it's a big deal, and it's dangerous that he's trying to get away.
Is he trying to get away from the government, or is he trying to
he's trying to get away from the government, and also from the
rebels.
Even though he's and also from the fact that war is breaking out now. This is like now when people are really losing their lives. So on the fourth attempt, the man successfully gets into Turkey, like millions of other Syrians, and that's where he starts living, in a part of Istanbul which kind of gets famous for being known as Little Syria. And I've actually been to this part of Istanbul, and I've met a lot of the people who've come over from Syria to take refuge in Turkey. So after a few years of the war going on and people finding out, oh, this man came over, reporters came to ask him about his life and about his experiences of leaving Syria. And so he spoke about his sadness, about the fact that he had to leave his homeland, and about the fact that Russia is playing a huge part in this horrible tragedy that's unfolding. Because in 1985 he had to leave his home country once before. In 1985 he left to go to Russia to train to become a cosmonaut. Yeah. And when he left back then, he was a Sunni, and he was sent by the Syrians with a team of a number of other Syrians who were from different backgrounds. Some were Alawi, some were Druze. So the Alawi, we know, they are the people who are the main constituents of the government, of the Assad regime. They're Alawi people. The Sunni people make up about 80% of the country, but they are not in, like in the main core government positions that run the country, although they held positions throughout. So he's a Sunni. So when he went, he was a fighter pilot. When he went to Russia as part of a program where the Syrians were sending pilots over, he thought, there's no way, I'm going to be able to qualify for anything beyond, just this training program. In fact, the Assad regime, not Bashar al-Assad, but Hafez al-Assad, the father, he sent a delegation to make sure that, the Alawi guys were going to be the ones who, after training, got the final job. So the training went on, and slowly it became clear that not only was this man fantastic at what he was doing, the Alawi guy had a health condition that prevented him from being part of the final mission, and the Druze guy was also not going to be cut out for the job. And so the Russians overruled the Assad regime delegation and said, no, he's the best person. So in 1987, he was the second Muslim and the first Syrian to fly into space. And he is the first person to ever take a bit of, excuse me, I sounded like I was going to cry then. He was the first person ever to take a bit of Earth's soil into space. And that bit of soil is from Damascus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
and he left it there, or is it?
I think he took it to the Mir space station and then left it in the space station. But obviously the space station's been decommissioned since then. So he took this little sort of memento of his homeland up into space. And he spent approximately 7 days and a number of hours and I think 5 minutes in low Earth orbit in space, in the Mir space station. And he had some profound experiences, like, you know, all like we know when we've heard Neil Armstrong's accounts and all the other astronauts who've been, their accounts of being out in space. You know, it's been transformative, it's been life-changing. I mean, of course it would be. So he came back and, you know, the government was kind of very jealous of the fact that he was now getting so much attention. And so he was just tucked away in a little corner with pay, but no real rank or job or anything like that. But he, you know, he was very, very emphatic in his effort to try and get some science and astronomy programs started in Syria to inspire, you know, the next generation. The government completely shut it down. They weren't having it. So many years later, the protests around the Arab world started, the Arab Spring, and he saw that there was a potential for some change. And so him and his wife started joining in. But now, as things started getting more and more dangerous, he had to leave. So now we kind of come back to where we began in Istanbul, where reporters are coming to ask him questions. And so, you know, they asked him, how does he feel about everything that's going on now with the war and with all this destruction and loss and tragedy? And subhanAllah, it's just so inspiring and amazing, like what he had to say. So firstly, he just spoke about how when he was up in space, he realized that the Earth is just one ball. There's no gates and there's no borders and you can't see anything. It's just we're all one family. Those are his words. That from up there, he couldn't see any visible marker for why one group of people are here and one group of people are there. He took pictures of Syria from up there, and those were his observations. So he's still hopeful that there can be reconciliation, and you know, the fact of his life experiences kind of gives me that hope as well. You know, that it is possible. So that is the story of Mohammed Faris, the second Muslim cosmonaut, astronaut, second Muslim in space. And yeah, I discovered his story recently, and I was just...
That's actually pretty sick.
I was blown away.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah.